gotta introduce this guy. He's definitely one of the best in R&B. Period, hands down. He's got a book actually that's out, 143 Love, according to Musiq. Without further ado, Musiq Soulchild. What's going on, Musiq?
Hey, what's happening? What's happening? What's happening?
Not much. Thank you so much for coming on the show this evening.
No problem. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Not a problem. So tell the listeners who may not know who you are and are familiar with you, tell them a little bit about you.
Okay. My name is Musiq Soulchild. Born and raised in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. I currently reside in Atlanta, Georgia. I got 6 albums out, starting from the year 2000. From I Just Want to Sing, my second album, Just Listen, my third album, Soul Star, my fourth album, Love and Music, my fifth album on my radio, and my sixth album I just released, Music and the Magic, which had the song Anything and Yes. The song Yes, my latest single, was dedicated to the survivors and victims of breast cancer. I just recently put out a book, 143 Love, according to Musiq, as you mentioned. Really excited about it, and it's doing really well. I'm just a soul singer that's trying to maintain the legacy of soul music. And I've been very, very blessed and honored to be here talking to you guys right now.
Awesome. And I definitely say I haven't got the book yet, but I love the concept of what the book and the message that it stands for. What inspired you to want to write the book?
I was actually approached by a publishing company, Dip Publishing, and, things are put in your path that you can either agree or pass on, agree to or pass on, and I just agreed to do this. A lot of the reasons behind me choosing to do it was, a lot of people came up to me telling me how much I should write a book because I find myself talking about love and relationships very, very extensively. And it just seemed like a natural progression. And, I was honored that I was blessed with that opportunity, and I took full advantage of it.
Nice. Well, let me ask you about something pertaining to love. What is your take on, let me ask you this, have you had a chance to see Love and Hip Hop?
No, I'm sorry. I don't really get a chance to watch TV. And just as a personal thing, I'm not really interested in those kind of TV shows. God bless the people that do them, and I support their success. However, there's a lot of stuff about it that I'm just not interested in, All
right. I'm glad you answered that because that answered my next question, would you want to do something like that? So I take that as you probably wouldn't want to do a show like that.
No, not particularly because there's a lot of, it just presents relationship in a very favorable way, and that's not, I don't feel like that's an accurate representation of how relationships go, whether it's the name of hip-hop or otherwise. I've always been an advocate for positivity and love and peace, and like a lot of these shows, they promote otherwise, the drama and miscommunication and all the tension and all of the animosity and all of that other crazy stuff. Those are elements of a relationship. Yes, that is a real thing. However, there's so much more to it than just that. And if I were to do a reality TV show, I would much rather be a part of a show that promotes love and relationships and people getting along in a very favorable way. Unfortunately, the criteria of these, quote-unquote reality TV shows, that's synonymous with what the game plan is. It's heavily driven off of all of that drama. And like I said, I'm just personally not interested in it. But I'm not in any way condemning anyone that chooses to do it. I'm not an authority of saying whether that's right or wrong. I'm just saying that I'm personally not interested in it.
Right. So, just continuing on with love, what is your ideal relationship, or what do you feel would be the ideal relationship for anybody?
The thing about relationships, they say relationships are not easy, and I feel as though, personally, it's that way because you're talking about two people who have two separate lives working to coexist, and making room in their lives for the other person. When you've been so busy doing things the way that you've been doing it, for so long, it's sort of a challenge to, allow somebody to come into your life and, switch stuff around, or even just you switching stuff around for someone else. So that right there is already a situation that, it's going to be, it's potentially problematic depending on how you choose to go about it. You're either going to be accepting or you're going to be defensive, and I think that if you call yourself, caring about someone or wanting to be in a relationship with them, then you should be willing to make those necessary compromises and sacrifices for the greater good of the relationship. Otherwise, I feel like you're just thinking about yourself. You're being very selfish to the point where it's counterproductive, and it's regressive rather than progressive in the name of your relationship. You pretty much be by yourself, But if you want to be with somebody else, you're just going to have to switch it up. And I feel like at least my concept of love is doing all the things that it takes to make a relationship work. Having those conversations that are necessary, being communicative, being articulate, being expressive about your emotions and your expectations in the relationship, being patient, being willing to listen and accept the other person's experience in the relationship, because it's not just you. There's another person on the other side. Being considerate, being compassionate, being respectful, being trusting, not saying one thing but really secretly feeling another way, creating things in your mind about what's happening, treating the other person as if what you think is happening is actually happening, without taking into consideration, like, what, I could just be making this up. Don't assume anything. Don't just make implications. Don't just go off the deep end, Be willing to have a real conversation, an adult conversation with that person. Otherwise, good luck.
Right. Now, I know in Chapter 4, well, it's not Chapter 4. In Chapter 4 you talk about giving a second chance in relationships. Has there ever been a moment where in a relationship you've given someone a second chance and you regret that moment?
I wouldn't say that I've regretted it. However, you can give a person chance after chance after chance. However, if that person consistently shows you that despite the chances that you give them, that they're going to continue to be the person that they ultimately want to be or choose to be, then you have to make a decision whether or not you're going to continue to deal with that person. Because it becomes a thing where it's not about you giving them chances. Now it's about you allowing yourself to be subjected to something that you're not interested in being a part of. So let's say if a person is always talking crazy, and you don't like the way that it makes you feel, but you keep giving them a chance. Okay, I don't like how you're coming at me right now, so I want to bring this up to let you know how it makes me feel, so that maybe you could put that on your radar. Next time you come at me, you might be a little more mindful of the way that you're doing it. That way I won't take it the wrong way, I won't get defensive, and we won't have a problem. But every time that person comes at you, despite how many times you bring it up and y'all, quote unquote, come to an agreement, they still come at you crazy. Then it becomes, all right, you're not going to change, so then I need to leave you alone. But you got a lot of people out there who are not willing to do that because they don't want to be by themselves. So they'll just settle and just continue to be in a toxic relationship in the name of not being alone, not realizing that they're doing more damage than good. Like you're messing up a friendship, because you're not willing to walk away from something, and because you don't want to look like, person who's single and can't get somebody, I would much rather be by myself than be in a relationship that could ultimately become problematic for the both of us. I would rather leave you and still be your friend than continue, trying to make it work when you're not trying to change and losing you as a friend,
Right, and I feel like I can definitely relate when it comes to that. Like, I was in a relationship about a year or two ago, and that person, I had to break up with them because it was just not a good situation for me. They didn't know how to treat me. I gave multiple second chances, and when I came to my final conclusion, I said, you know what, I've got to put my foot down. But I was willing to be that nice guy, gave her another chance, but then now I just had to end it because it's like, you still don't know how to talk. Do you ever feel like there's a moment where if anybody that you've been in a previous relationship, once you guys have, made it known that, okay, we'll just be friends, have you ever gotten to the point where the friendship has ended, ever?
Yeah, it's gotten so bad. Well, I do my best to, depending on, no matter who I'm dealing with, I do my best to at least maintain a good relationship with them as much as possible, try to salvage as much as possible. However, there are those moments where, due to, the series of events, there just isn't any way to salvage that relationship. Maybe later on down the line we might reconnect and figure it out. But there comes a time, sometimes, unfortunately, where, you guys are at an impasse and there's no way to break through that, and that's the sad reality of some relationships. I do my best to not let it get to that point, which is why I'm very vocal. I'm very expressive. I communicate a lot. However, you cannot control how a person takes what you say. Some people have they make a bad habit of only hearing what they want to hear, only accepting what they want to accept. I always encourage everyone that I'm dealing with that the best way to get along with me is by accepting things for what they are, because that's how I'm dealing with them. I'm not going to make anything up. I'm not going to act like what's there is not there, and I'm not going to act like what's not there is there. I'm not going to lie because it's not going to help anybody. So if you're acting like, how can I say, an unstable creature, I'm going to tell it to your face. I feel like you're acting like an unstable creature, and it's causing these problems. It's making me uncomfortable. I feel offended. I feel disrespected, and I don't appreciate it. Now, if you want me to feel like you love me and care about me, it would help that if you don't do these things, because when you do these things, I don't feel the love. I don't feel like you care about me. I actually feel otherwise. I feel the contrary. I feel like you don't care. I feel like you only really care about yourself, and you're not factoring in my experience in being with you. You just want me to just roll over and accept it. Well, no. Just like you have the right, you feel as though you have the right to be however you choose to be and say whatever you want to say and think and feel whatever you want to think and feel. Okay, that's a two-way street. It's not fair for you to expect someone to just accept you and you're not willing to accept them for who they are. That just doesn't make any sense to me. It's a give and take thing. It's a balancing thing. I feel like a lot of people get into relationships simply because they only have their main objective in mind, and they don't consider the fact that someone else may have a different objective. And it's not that person is wrong. It's not a matter of either one of you being wrong. It's just a matter of you two coming to some kind of an agreement. And sometimes coming to that agreement may mean that y'all might have to compromise some of y'all things. You might have to give on certain things. I mean, that's if you want to be with that person. Otherwise, you don't have to deal with it. Leave. I don't understand why people like to be in relationships and complain, and either one, don't contribute to making it better, or two, don't exercise that option that they can just not deal with that person. Like, that is an option. If you're so miserable, then leave the person alone, But like I said, a lot of people don't like to make that decision because a lot of people don't like being by themselves. And I feel like that right there, actually, now that I mentioned that, that's one of the biggest problems when it comes to relationships. People are not comfortable within themselves. If you're not comfortable enough to be by yourself and you feel as though that you need to run to somebody else to be comfortable in life, if you need to be with someone to be comfortable in life, then you have a problem that only you can fix. So I highly encourage people to, before that you think that you can get yourself into a relationship and have a healthy relationship, with anyone else, I beg you actually to have a comfortable relationship with yourself first. Take yourself out on a date. Take yourself to a fancy restaurant. Take yourself to the movies. Buy yourself things. Have conversations with yourself. I mean, not, outwardly, you don't want people thinking that, you ain't got it all together upstairs, but, still do self-evaluations, get yourself a book and write down the pros and cons of yourself and be honest, man. Like, don't be biased because you like to think of yourself a certain way. Like, if you're a jerk, then admit to it. You're a jerk, not because, you're a bad person, and just because of the way that you choose to act and be, and make those necessary adjustments. Think of it like this. If a person was being towards you the way that you are towards other people, ask yourself, would you like that or not? And if you don't like it, what do you think could be done about it? Because only you can fix it.
Mm-hmm. You know what? I feel like people don't understand that what they can fix to make a situation work, that being a relationship, as in love, or friendship. People don't understand that, so they just, they feel like, okay, this is how I'm going to act. I'm not going to change. This is how it's going to be. Take it or leave it. But in actuality,
I don't think
they need to change
at all. Yeah,
mm-hmm.
That's not healthy at all because it's like if you try to work a job, right? So let's say you just got hired for a job. These are the requirements of your position. This is the criteria of the profession that you've chosen to be a part of. Okay, so you have your marching orders, you have the parameters that you need to, perform within, and if you choose to come in like, well, I'm gonna just be myself, whatever, the boss or my employer, they just gonna have to accept me for who I am. It's like, no, man, it don't work that way because you asked to be a part of this. So since you asked, this situation didn't ask to be a part of you, you asked to be a part of this. So if this is something that you want, you should be willing to do whatever it takes to preserve it and maintain and keep it in good standing, condition. People are always asking for love. People are always asking God, please find somebody for me, or, help me to find somebody. I just want to be in a relationship. And people don't understand what it is that they're asking for. They think that it's just a one singular thing and they can just be on autopilot. No, it's a lifestyle. When you're in a relationship, that's a lifestyle. It's an ever-growing thing. It's something, it's alive. A relationship is a living, breathing thing, and it takes for you to be active, not simply reactive. You have to be proactive. You have to make decisions, constant decisions, calling audibles. You can't be on autopilot. It's not going to work like that, and you have a lot of disappointed people out there because they entered into the relationship with certain expectations, and they were disappointed, and they just walk away from it without realizing, okay, maybe I need to adjust my expectations. Maybe I need to reconsider and reprioritize what I feel is important. At the end of the day, the first thing that should be important to you when you are in a relationship with someone, in my opinion, is that you need to have a friendship with that person. Before you can call it anything else, that person should be your friend. They should be your number one go-to person because that's a person that you want to spend the rest of your life with, right? Well, then that person should be your go-to person for everything. That person should be the person that you want to do everything with, that if you weren't doing it with them, you would be doing it by yourself. That person should be an extension of you, and it works both ways. It's not always going to go your way, and it shouldn't always go their way. It's a joint venture. You two people are the ones that get to dictate what's happening. Not one person. It's not a dictatorship, in the form of one person makes all the decisions. It's a partnership where you both get to make the decisions.
Yes. So I got some listeners on the line who want to speak to you. Let me
okay.
See if Damali's on the line. Damali, you on the line still?
Yes.
All right, you're on with music.
Hi. I'm
Hello,
a big fan of your. I'm a big fan of your music. I've been listening for a long time.
Thank you.
all of your songs have such great lyrics with such strong and positive messages in them. Where do you get a whole lot of your inspirations from for your music?
I get my inspiration from love. I'm very inspired by love. It's a very, very deep thing, and it's boundless, it's endless, it's limitless. There is no end to it, and there's so much material in love to last you a lifetime. So as long as people, find a way to be in love or find things to love or find ways, to engage with love, and as long as love is an important topic or is an important thing in life to people, then it will always inspire me because people love hearing, songs about love, and it makes them feel good. It's very informative. It's very inspiring. It can be very encouraging, very eye-opening. Very soothing, very comfortable. It's just it's a natural thing. And at least for me, and I'm gonna always talk about love. It just comes so natural for me. So, I'm always inspired by love.
Oh, that's great. Do you write all of your own material?
Not everything. Sometimes songs are submitted to me that I haven't written out one word to it, but I identify so much with the song, and I'm always honored to present this message to people that I feel people should hear. That I take the song, and I definitely do it my way. I put my signature on it because it's not about me always writing the words. As a messenger, you don't always have to come up with the message, or you don't always receive the message personally, or be the medium for that message. Sometimes the message comes to you from somewhere else, but you're still the messenger, So I'm grateful that at least I can present the message.
True. Congrats on your book, by the way.
Thank you. Appreciate that. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. And I write a lot of poetry, so I've been trying to recently figure out how to turn it into songs and things like that. But can you give me some advice on how to go about turning poems into music?
It all depends on who you're working with. Everybody has their own style. Everyone has their own formula. A song is just words being arranged in a certain format, a verse and a chorus. So it's just a matter of, you and whoever you're working with to come up and decide, what is going to be the verse and what's going to be the chorus, outline it in that way. Because usually poems are very linear. It's just one thing, keep going down. Okay. A song, is a format. It is a verse and then a chorus, and then you do a second verse, and then the chorus is recycled, or however the format is. Sometimes some people just do, a song in the same format as the poem, where there is no chorus. It's just one long dissertation, and there's nothing wrong with that. Like I said, it all depends on who you're working with.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Thanks for calling in, Damali.
You're welcome. Thank you, David, for having me.
Not a problem, anytime. Oh, it's just dropped off. Okay, so we have a 513 number. 513, you're on the biz with D and Music. Who's this?
Hey, David. How are you?
Hey, Jazz. How you doing?
I'm good. How are you? Hi, Music.
Hey, what's happening? How you feel?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good.
Good. I